Dark comedy is defined as pieces of work that deal with tragic or distressing subject matter in a humorous way. That, my friends, is a high bar to clear. A feat that I don't believe is given enough credit when it is achieved. Not only does what you're watching have to be funny, but it has to make you laugh despite its premise intending you feel uneasy and uncomfortable. This form of comedy is essentially a balancing act. An experience that must constantly teeter between making you laugh and making you face that which laughter keeps at bay. Patriot, It's Always Sunny, Curb Your Enthusiasm, BoJack Horseman, Louie, Seinfeld. These shows are so well regarded, not just because they are funny, but because they are able to draw humor from situations and scenarios where humor should be almost unattainable. So when I tell you that Barry is one of the best dark comedies on television, that should communicate to you how compelling of a show it is. One that balances humor and tragedy to the point of looking effortless, when in reality it is anything but. This is why Barry is a black comedy masterpiece. This is why you should watch Barry.
Go out there. Fuchs, don't go out there. Fuchs?
I got it. I got you. Hi there, girl. Hi. Good girl. Hey, I don't want to sound like a creep, but you want to get in the car with me and my friend? I got corn nuts. See, right here, they look like this. No, guys, so don't run away, doing. I'm a nice guy. What? Okay, she's not human.
That's what I said, man.
She's something else. I don't
That's
know
what
what.
I told you, dude.
So what is Barry? Well, it's a show about a hitman. A lonely, confused, borderline naive man who somehow has only ever been good at one thing: killing people. It would be incredibly easy for a comedy to take advantage of this cluelessness and make Barry idiotic. He is anything but, however. If he was too much of an idiot, empathizing with him would be impossible, I think. No, he's a smart guy despite his shortcomings, who is tremendously good at what he does. The first season spends a lot of its time proving this to us, in fact. Many scenes are dedicated to highlighting just how much better he is at this than most of his peers. There is more than a handful of ingenious, tension-fueled scenes, the likes of which comedy has never utilized before. At least, I've never seen a comedy embrace action scenes nearly as intense as those found in Barry. The action scenes are so good, in fact, that they're also used for another purpose, and that is to highlight the shortcomings alongside Barry's strengths. Now, when I say clueless, I mean Barry is optimistic, he's childlike, he wants to give people the benefit of the doubt. However, these are traits that do anything but aid the life of a hitman. A man who kills people shouldn't behave so innocently. He shouldn't be so easy to take advantage of. But he is, and that cluelessness is what allows us to laugh alongside Barry. When we witness how Barry is forced to clean up other people's messes, people who are obviously less skilled but more malicious than he is, it's funny to then watch how a well-intentioned killer continues to be taken advantage of. We can root for and laugh with a good-hearted killer who's good at what he does, especially when the world keeps taking advantage of this innocence and turns it into naivety. And it's a dark comedy, so of course things are continuously going to go horribly wrong for this poor son of a bitch. Without going into too many spoilers, I want to talk about a recent episode that illustrates my point perfectly. Barry is coerced into killing a man, but he does not wish to go through with the act, so Barry decides to approach this would-be target, fully disguised in criminal attire, in his own home. Barry admits to the man he was hired to kill him, but does not wish to, and has a plan to get him out of the city into safety. Barry doesn't understand why this plan has almost zero chance of working. He's completely clueless as the scene makes it abundantly clear to the audience that this is going to go as horribly as we expect it to.
Whoa, look at that, you got medals too. Shit.
But Barry doesn't see it. He doesn't want to. His innocence won't let him. So we're left to laugh, pity, and empathize with a man who's once again forced into a horrible circumstance. One which obligates him to use talents and skills he knows are wrong, but cannot avoid using at the cost of his or his friends' lives. He's a man whose only talent in life makes it impossible for him to be the good guy he strives to be. And the tragic irony in that is what makes Barry such an amazing character to laugh at. The show is constantly balancing these two identities. The innocent man who wants to do good, and the gifted hitman whose only talent is killing. And it is those identities teetering on a knife edge that makes for a fantastic, dark comedy. Barry does not enjoy killing people. He's a normal guy who would rather not hurt anyone at all. He simply never had anything else in life be as purposeful, meaningful, or fulfilling. Barry was a man who joined the Marines in hopes of finding that purpose, like many young men often do. And it was there that Barry stumbled into a purpose that has given him some semblance of meaning. It was an affinity for killing that gave him the only bonds that has ever meant anything to him. Those bonds were the friendships he made with fellow soldiers and the pseudo-father figure of Monroe Fuchs, his now contract-killing handler. The only friendships he's ever made were born out of respect and admiration for his abilities on the battlefield. It makes sense that fellow soldiers are going to flock to a man who can hit a target at 1,000 yards. And it's no surprise that a contract man would then take advantage of a guy who's as skilled as he is innocent. With no other family, friends, or connections, Barry is a man who willingly signs up for a life of horrendous deeds, because at least in that world, his life would mean something. So what then acts as inspiration that is more meaningful than the bonds he has created through killing? What is the purpose that is powerful enough to push him away from his hitman identity? That is acting, and a theater class filled with people just as clueless as he is.
Good. Go to, you have known what you should not.
Stop. I'm not kidding. You're making me nauseous.
God, it really is genius how perfect the premise is the more I think about it. The acting coach and organizer of the theater class, Gene Cosinow, is the father figure counter to the contract handler of Monroe Fuchs. The students of the class acting as the stand-ins for his army buddies. And finally, the one thing that could be the deciding factor in shedding him of his murderous ways, Sally Reed, a love interest in the acting class, who might very well be just as damaged and clueless as Barry is. Having an acting class be the setting where Barry can form and mature a healthier identity creates scenes that are just as tense and hilarious as his dysfunctional assassinations. Sometimes he'll have a moment of weakness and recall a real moment of his past, vivid retellings that would horrify anyone who heard them. But because it's an acting class, those who hear these stories just believe he's making it up and perceive him as some sort of twisted genius. The acting class becomes a support group that allows him to express the hated version of himself and that identity's actions, without anyone being the wiser. It's like a form of therapy that is slowly curing him of a life filled with meaninglessness. The catch is, Barry isn't actually that good at acting. It's his horrible experiences that are translating as acting talent on the stage and to these new peers. The identity he hates and wants to cure himself of is the tool that's allowing him to now morph and create a new, healthier, desired identity. Once again, the dark struggle within him on full display and battling one another. Just on a theater stage, rather than in a target's living room. I could dive into a dozen of other reasons that make Barry so enjoyable to watch. The myriad of hilarious support characters, ranging from mobsters to FBI agents. The fantastic cinematography and direction. Bill Hader's perfect portrayal of Barry. Numerous scenes of true tragedy and tension. But I believe most of these things deserve to be experienced firsthand by you. I've done the best job I can of explaining to you the heart and soul of what makes Barry such a fantastic, dark comedy. The struggle of a man who wants to be good, but knows anything but. It is a show that keeps me on the edge of my seat, sympathizing with a man who kills people, while also dying of laughter. Barry is the personification of tragic comedy, and that is why you should watch Barry.